I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Next item on the agenda is a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second. That's a second. Passed.
Jim, did you vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course, yes. Got it.
Yeah.
Snail mail.
Okay.
Moving on to the superintendent summary of current events.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Ramirez. So we had a few tours since last we met. The first one I want to mention is we had the first opportunity to meet with ALA, the American Leadership Academy, charter schools, visit our Northwest campus. So we got a chance to visit with them and show them our programs and services and what we can offer our students. And then from what I understand, we have a second meeting set up. They're going to bring probably another 8 or 10 other folks over to see what we have to offer in our programs and services. They're great to get that relationship started. So it was a very good visit and a very positive visit. Emergent Labs was on site from Poland doing tours of our Northwest, Southwest, and Northeast campus, continuing to develop our platform for MetaCoach AI, and that's going extremely well. Kelly List Wells from Glendale Chamber, and we had a person that she invited over from the Philippines that works with Unilab, who oversees the career and technical education programs in the Philippines, and then one of her colleagues from New York, who also oversees some STEM, national STEM activities. So they took a tour of the Southwest campus to kind of see what a high quality program looks like for career and technical education. And they left there very, very, very pleased and very loaded with ideas. So they were very excited about that and probably have another chance to come back over. CJ and I got a chance to participate in the ribbon cutting ceremony of Tricolor Auto in Surprise. I'm not sure if you've heard much about that, but Tricolor is a refurbishing company that refurbishes automobiles with their strategic vision of providing low-cost transportation to Hispanic and Latino families. So they go out and they try to buy them as low as possible. They bring them in and they refurbish the motors and a little bit of the interior, the brakes, the tires, and try to make that affordable for families to provide transportation to get to and from work or wherever they might have. And we got a chance to tour their factory. And I believe, CJ, if I'm not mistaken, they have 120 lifts inside of their fab. It's just this huge, and their market plan and their business plan is just absolutely fantastic. So anything and everything that a family would need, from insurance to window replacement to batteries, everything all is contained within that one organization for families. So it's kind of a one-stop shop. It's just a tremendous business plan. And so what I asked the gentleman that we toured with, I said, so what you're saying is you really need auto technicians that are really good at maybe 10 or 12 or 15 specific things. So when cars come in, they go specifically to that person with that level of expertise. So that's absolutely correct. And so we'll be working pretty closely with them to be able to supply some technicians for those cars that they have coming in. So just a really, really cool place and very exciting about this model and this company coming in. So they're at they're in Surprise, and it was just off of was it Cactus and Litchfield?
Let's try what?
It's called Tricolor Automotive. And if you ever get a chance to stop by and take a tour, it's just really, they've got the paint booths. I mean, they can do body stuff. They don't do a lot of interior. It just gets kind of costly, but they'll do some general repairs. But they refurbish those cars and get those out at a pretty low cost for families, which is fantastic. Not specifically for those groups only, but targeted for those groups to provide some transportation to increase their lives and opportunities for jobs.
How are they funded? Just from the sale of the vehicles or?
Yes, and I believe this is their second. I believe they have one in California, CJ. We have one big one. In Texas, and then now this is their next opportunity to open this up. So just a phenomenal opportunity for West-MEC and also for our families in Surprise and surrounding areas. We've got a chance to provide an update and an overview of West-MEC for West-MEC rep meeting, which means it's all of our representatives from our comprehensive high schools and our current counselors and reps. Got a chance to provide some updates to them. They were very excited about the work that we have going on. Next week's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there'll be about 40 superintendents in town for my national AASA superintendent certification program. I invited our West group to come out, so they're coming Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we'll do our 3-day training at the Southwest campus. So they're going to get a chance to see West-MEC at its finest. So it'll be a chance for 40 superintendents to see the work that we do here at West-MEC and probably get some ideas about what they might be able to do and take back and work.
They're all here, both Arizona.
No, they're from about Midwest to the West Coast.
Right.
From multiple districts around the United States. So they'll be here to visit us. And one of the things I'm very excited about, if you remember, we started working with Pipeline AZ as that research arm or that engine for our students to do the research on career literacy, career pathways. That work got stopped because funding stopped because of some interworking politics and things like that. But it's now back on track. We've had 3 meetings with them so far. And they're really starting to develop the West-MEC jumping off page and trying to get that specifically aligned so that anything and everything that you need to know about West-MEC can all be done specifically within that one piece of software, which is going to be fantastic. So I'll bring more information as that progresses along. And then the last thing I want to do, it's every once in a while, the superintendent gets a really cool email that you just want to share. And so Tamara Herman, who is in the hairstyling program at the Northwest campus. And I'd like for Holly and Mike and April to please stand or maybe come up here for a second. She wrote me just an absolute phenomenal email about the administration at the Northwest campus. And I just can't help but to share it. So here's what she says. She says, Dr. Spurgeon, I wanted to share with you my appreciation for the leadership and support provided by our campus administration at our Northwest campus. As a staff member at West-MEC, I have had the opportunity to witness firsthand the positive impact our administrators have on our campus. Because of Holly, Mike, and April, our campus has become a welcoming and inspiring place for students and staff. They are truly dedicated to fostering a positive school culture, ensuring academic excellence, and addressing the needs of every student. Northwest Campus admin are always willing to listen to the concerns and ideas of students, parents, and staff, no matter how busy they might be. Holly, Mike, and April provide the support that all teachers need. They have always created a productive and nurturing learning environment and motivated everyone to strive for excellence. The leadership of Holly, Mike, and April is a significant factor in the success and well-being of our school community. I am grateful for their hard work, dedication, and a positive impact they have had on me and every student who passes through the Northwest campus. So with that, I just say congratulations and great job, Lauren. Talk to me.
Thank you. Any updates from the governing board?
I don't have.
Well, I attended the Trust Alliance Governance Summit on August 29th, along with Dr. Spurgeon and Louisa and Kathy Mays and Julie. You know, they work really closely with ASPA and, you know, for all the best practices and all of our policies, they like that. And I think it'd be nice if maybe Louisa could share the presentation with the rest of the board members so they can take a look at it, because they just updated policies and think what's going on with the government. So like, they're kind of like what CJ does. You know, so it's good information. And then on September 4th, I made connections with the Peoria Police Department. I belong to the Peoria Citizens Police Academy, and it was their opening night for the academy. And so they had a lot of citizens from Peoria there to see what the police do. And so I talked to the sergeant there, and the whole team so that we can get them to go ahead and do a presentation to our students at each of our campuses. I think this is something maybe we could, open some doors for work-based learning and things of that nature. They were really, really very welcoming and wanted to do it. They just wanted to jump in. So I think it's gonna be a good thing, so.
Thank you, Linda. Anyone else? Okay. I guess we next is call to the public. And I have to read this disclaimer, right? No one signed up? Okay. All right.
Then make a second call to the public, second call to the public.
Yeah.
That's important.
Second call to the public. Anyone? Anyone want to share something about their day? Huh? Third call? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on, close this. Call to the public and move on to section D, was it recognition and celebrations?
That's correct.
Good evening, governing board, superintendent. Thanks for allowing me. I learned a couple seconds ago that I was going to be the presenter for this, which makes sense to me because it seems to highlight my campus. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be up here and speak. Southwest Campus decided to move forward our main administrative assistant, Miss Holly Metnich. The reason that we went with Holly Metnich is she was employee number 1 after the founding principal of the campus. This young lady that you see there on the screen literally purchased every piece of equipment, item, consumable that has moved through that campus. She is the beating heart that has made every single program on that campus capable and possible. She has finagled with our instructors, taught them how to hire or how to bring on equipment, as well as for the longest time, she managed all of our CTSO fundings too. So every working piece of that campus is filtered through Holly Metnich. On top of that, she just goes out there and gets things done. She organizes things, she arranges things, she wrangles me in. I know she wrangled Mr. Guy in for a couple of years before I was out there. She is just the reason that Southwest Campus is what Southwest Campus is. So when it became an opportunity for us to celebrate somebody at this level, we really wanted to move Holly Metnich forward because she is amazing. So I know there's a blurb about it and I didn't stick to it, but that's who we recognize. Unfortunately, she is flying out. She had a planned travel, so she's not blessed to be here. But she did send her, actually, she was, oh my gosh, they're gonna think I'm just avoiding. And I said, no, like this is a planned thing, we know. And we appreciate her. So.
Nice. Please pass along the thanks to Bill.
I think there's another one too. Oh, do I have the button? Thank you, sorry. So this is kind of a fun one. Southwest Campus was voted best in the valley for a hairstyling program. Best trade and beauty school in the valley by the Phoenix magazine. Now, why this is fun for us is they delivered it to the wrong site. So it was delivered to Central Campus and Tremaine over there received the award and was very excited about it and even more excited to redo his due diligence and research and realize it was meant for my campus and send it on over to us. But our hairstyling instructors were very happy to receive this. They've very proudly posted it up so that it can be seen, and it was just kind of a neat little reward. They put a lot of effort into making sure that they do the best thing that they can do for our students all the time. So we were happy to be recognized as best trade beauty school in the Valley by Phoenix magazine.
Awesome.
Awesome.
With that, this one's not mine, so Marcy, if you could join us up here, I'll ease away. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the governing board. This, I would love to take the honor, but this was done prior to the work that I'm doing now. But having said that, it does recognize the organization for excellence. And so I did a little research and I wanted to know, well, how many districts actually receive this? And according to the GFOA, which is the Government Officials Association, which encompasses districts and municipalities that can apply for this award, only about 10 to 15% of the districts nationwide actually receive this award. So it is a lot about how we present our data, and it's about transparency in the financials. And we do partner with Heimfield and Meach, and they prepare the documentation for us for our financials, and then we're responsible for reviewing. Of course, we're responsible for the data that goes in it as well. So it is a partnership, but I am very pleased to see that we operate at this level to receive this certificate, and especially since it's a very select few in the country.
Next item, right? D2. All right, Manenberg Unified District CTE Program Report.
Good evening. Thank
Good evening.
you, West-MEC governing board members, Dr. Spurgeon, superintendent, for inviting Notaberg to come and give you some updates on our CTE programs. To give you just a little bit of background for Notaberg, we are comprised of 3 schools total. We opened up one high school in 2020 at the height of COVID for schools. So that has been an exciting and fun journey to do. And then we have 2 K-8s within our district. So we are a small rural district area, but we became accredited in 21-22 after 2 semesters under our belt. And then we had in 2022, our NUSD community overwhelmingly by a landslide pass on the vote to join West-MEC membership. So our community is very, very excited about this partnership. And we are very grateful to be part of the West-MEC community with that. How do I move this forward? This fall, we just opened our new comprehensive campus for Mountainside High School. And with that, we have added an additional CTE program. So we just joined with Perkins and getting all of our courses on with ADE just last year. So this is officially going into our 2nd year. And we started with 5 programs with sports medicine and rehabilitation, graphic design, video production, software and app design, and law and public safety. And this year we launched the business and marketing program on our campus as well. We are set on 80 acres with lots of room to grow, lots of plans, lots of things that we have coming in terms of being able to build more CTE programs into the fold. And so we're very excited and looking forward to doing things with agri-science and things like that our community and our parents and students are seeking. We are working very closely with the Wickenburg Hospital and looking at different pathways for our students through that as well. Our support for CTE programming in NUSD is very strong. Back in 2022, our governing board, in anticipation of us launching CTE programs, went ahead and approved embedded credits for our CTE program so that our students can be earning some dual credits with and kind of have that incentive to continue with CTE pathway programs. So those are things that we definitely have been excited to be able to launch and to help our students gain the credits that they need to graduate, while at the same time learn some applicable skills in the workforce. So we've been very, very excited about that. NUSD CTE by the numbers. Our district covers 154 square miles and we have 3 schools right now and 1 high school. We are growing fast in that area. We have a lot of developers, a lot of new developments coming in. Currently, our district serves 1,700 students approximately. And just this past semester in the spring, Maricopa County actually found us to be The third, we're tied a little bit, but third most growing district in the state of Arizona. So our growth over the last 5 years was at 55% district. So we beat out by Queen Creek, Saddle Mountain, and we're tied with Mobile Elementary District. So we're looking forward to all of that growth and how we channel that into some positive opportunities for our students, especially as they navigate through a K-12 system. Being that we just opened a high school in 2020, our district is also still navigating a K-12 environment. So that has also been a fun journey that we've been on with that. As far as our MHS enrollment, we're actually a little bit over 389 students. When we first started in 2020, we started with 49 students at the beginning of the year and ended with 52. And as a principal, it was awesome. You get to know them all really, really well. But we have grown quite significantly over that time. And so this has also been a really great thing to be able to witness and to be able to see and also get to know students, because 400-ish students is still relatively small. And so we have a lot of direct impact with our student body in that way. With that said, all of our elective course offerings that we offer at the high school, 55% of them account for CTE electives. So when we designed the high school and we built it with a CTE mindset, that we wanted to provide students with opportunities that were going to give them and set them up for success skill-wise, but also prepare them if they choose to go on to college or university afterwards. So as we've been building our programming, we had the unique opportunity to develop our programs and design our footprint for secondary education in the district, which is a rare opportunity, which is what drew me to Nottaburg, was that opportunity to be able to do that. Being a former CTE teacher as well and understanding the importance of where CTE plays a role in students' lives and what it can do for students, both academically, skill-based, workforce, all of that combined in a nice little package called CTE. We really designed with this idea that we were going to be very CTE forward. We didn't really inherit anything that we had to combat against in terms of how we design our elective options for students. And so that has been a really great privilege. Currently, we have about 241 at the time of this, 241 students of the 389 were enrolled in at least one or more CTE programs. So we have students who are exploring in their freshman year what possible programs and pathways they want to go. And so as a result of that, that equates to about 62% of our student body in a CTE program right now. When we add 17 of our students currently attending West-MEC campuses and going into some central programs, that comes to a total of 258 of our students, which means we're at 67% of our students actively engaged in a CTE program. This is up from 7% from last year. So as our student body has increased, we've been able to maintain that interest. And that has been a key factor for us, is being able to continue our students beyond just the first 2 years of a CTE program and getting them to continue on. So we're excited for the different pathway opportunities that has presented for them. We could not have done any of this without the support of West-MEC and the fabulous people working at West-MEC with all of the things that they have been able to do for us and to help us get started. So one of the first things we did early on, and I believe it was in 2021, is we took a tour of the Northwest campus, which is our closest campus. And it was important for me as the principal to take all of my teachers, not just CTE teachers, but all of my teachers to West-MEC to be able to tour the campus and for them to understand the important role that they play in every single one of their programs and how that's a part of a CTE student, how that's a part of their pathway, their program. So having my science teachers understand how this works in sports med, or looking at some different veterinary science, and them also being able to see those career trees and understanding the role that they play in preparing students for a central program or other CTE programs on our campus was really, really important. And too many times we have CTE teachers on satellite campuses that our other teachers don't know what CTE is, and they just don't have that identity. They don't know what it means. They don't know how they impact it. So from the get-go, that was important to us in our administration to make sure that we were educating our staff as well. And so that has played a role in terms of being able to keep that enrollment numbers high in our CTE programs. Part of that probably is just a little bit of a benefit of taking a CTE teacher and putting them into administration and then having the ability to plan some of this and have that creativity to do that. The other things that West-MEC has done, what they have supported Northwest Campus again has been a really great partner with us. They provided us with some professional development space. When our campus first started, we were in a renovated building on an old part of a campus, and we did not have a whole lot in terms of facilities and places to host. And so the Northwest Campus provided us with some physical space to be able to do such things. And so that was we're very grateful for that. The West-MEC professional development pieces that Mr. Wakefield has provided to my staff has been incredible. And it's helped us with teacher certification, with the CTSO officer orientations. Our students have all just gone through that and are super excited about their CTSOs and getting those going along with the teachers. And our teachers are just like, we have all these opportunities to do things with students. And part of our goal at Mountainside and with NUSD is that we do want to provide students with a traditional experience, but we want to mix the innovation in there. And so we want to think outside the box. And we really want things to be driven by the student's choice and what they really are looking to do. And so student voice for us is extremely important. And so we've got a lot of students right now driving a lot of great ideas when it comes to our CTSOs and some of our program pieces. So we're excited about launching all of that. Our SIS support, Naomi has been amazing with all of that, and giving some shout outs to the West-MEC people here, but they've been fantastic in helping us. Again, coming from a K-8 district, which is what Nottaburg had been for 100 years prior to the opening of Mountainside High School, it has been a transition, and just trying to make sure that we have all the pieces there and really talking to people that we would consider to be the experts in it has really been super supportive for us as a district to be able to make sure that we are getting things rolling in the right direction, and that what you guys expect from us is what we're able to meet and all of that. So we've been very grateful for that support as well. As far as leadership development, we've had some one-on-ones and pieces there with me, just getting to understand a little bit more on the CT director role piece and getting that so that we're not missing elements. And so that has been truly helpful as well. And it's facilitated a lot of opportunities, not just for myself, but for other members of our district leadership as well. So getting involved in the associations and making me aware of all these different things has been fantastic and has helped me grow professionally as well. So those privileges we do see as a privilege as being a member of the West-MEC district.
So before you opened Mountainside, where did these kids go to high school?
So we had IGAs with Wickenburg and Dysart. And so we had what was called the Nottaburg bill for many years, because we were the only district in the state that had to bus their students to another high school. And our district was essentially on the hook for all those transportation fees. And so we always had to petition the state to pass the bill to pay for that transportation. So it was really important for us to be able to create the high school, especially when the voters voted to unify the district and make it a unified district. So our first year with Mountainside, we started with just the freshman class in person and all grades online, and we continue to move through that. So we were open in person during the fall of 2020. Our goal was to get started with the high school, make our name known, and build our enrollment from there.
Well, I mean, as far as your enrollment, I mean, just even since 2023, you had 989 students, and now you've got 1,700. That's phenomenal.
We in our district, we are growing very fast.
Do you expect, do you have a kind of an idea of what you're going to get to? Or?
We have demographers working on that, but part of what we have learned is that demographers are sometimes maybe a little under, a little off at times. So we're working with that. But we do have already in discussion a couple of different new schools for planning and building. So we're already into that process at this point. So we do anticipate having multiple building projects happening simultaneously.
During the 60s and late 60s, early 70s, the Nottaburg bus used to come to Peoria High School to bring their high school students. So that was, I remember, I said, where is Nottaburg?
Well, and in the name, and what it translates to is nothing town. So it has been.
No mirage and surprise.
So we, you know, but it is becoming more of a recognized district. It's no longer being seen as just this small little rural area at this time. It's growing quite fast. So and we are located, the district office and the high school are both located in Whitman, Arizona. And even Whitman, we've noticed, has been transforming and it's growing. And things are getting redone, and it's just a great area where a lot of the development is heading up the 60 that way.
You said you came from CTE. Where did you come from?
Paradise Valley Unified School District.
Okay.
I was a CTE teacher there for a little over 10 years, and then I started my administrative career there in 2016.
Very good. Okay, other question is, you brought all of the teachers to tour Northwest Campus. What was some of their reaction?
They were shocked, quite frankly. They really, it was like they had just peeked behind the curtain and then understood where their role
huge.
in developing a student and making them ready and understanding what that application process looks like and all of the different opportunities that they could have if they prepare our students well enough to be able to make application and really give them some validation in what they're doing too.
That was so wise,
Yeah.
really, to bring the whole
It's-
school.
Probably part of experience as a CT teacher and just trying to remove any misunderstandings, misconceptions of what CTE is. Because unfortunately, sometimes it becomes more of what they would just seem as a vocational and not where the academic integration pieces come into play. So, and this is something that we hope to be able to continue to do with some of the West-MEC campuses to take teachers on tours as we remain still somewhat of a small size, staff size, so that we could do that without being too intrusive to the central campuses. But just to make sure that we're gaining that awareness and increasing enrollments, not just on the satellite programs, but also at the central campus too. So, and that has been a big thing with the recruitment and enrollment of our students too. Marilyn has been to our campus multiple times and has helped us out with our counselors and just making sure that we are streamlining those pieces too. So it's been we've been very grateful to be welcomed into the West-MEC family as we have. Everybody has just been very open and helpful, and it's just been a great transition for not just us starting a new high school, but then also, you know, jumping into accreditation and then jumping into West-MEC membership and doing all of these and launching all of these initiatives one by one, back to back. It has been somewhat overwhelming at times, but I will say with the CTE aspects of it, and with West-MEC, it has never felt overwhelming because we've just been given so much support with that. Transportation has been a big key for us. One of the things that we have been struggling with as a rural district is we really want to make sure that our students are being given as many opportunities as possible and they are not limited by their geographical location. And so getting students to and from places has always been a challenge. And I think it's a challenge for a lot of districts just with driver shortages and those sorts of things. So with the transportation grant that was awarded to NUSD, we've been able to help make sure that we're doing those 5 trips a day to getting our students from our campus to their central campus and back. And so that has been a huge help that we've been very grateful to be able to work with CJ and Debbie and on all of them to be able to make sure that that works for our students as well. And then with the innovative grant opportunities that has been offered by West-MEC, that has also been very helpful for us to be able to get our CTSOs off the ground and to get those things running and moving and paying for some of those elements that we've been working on. So it in all has been a tremendous experience, quite honestly.
Positive.
It's very positive and we've been very grateful and we look forward to future collaborations that we have. These are just some of our programs that or CTSOs that we have going now. Our sports med is a very popular one, and they are working at games already and doing things like that. So they're really finding their stride in the different things that they are doing. So and we just look forward to more success with our CTE programs. And again, we do appreciate the partnership with West-MEC and everything that West-MEC has supported us with, because as a small district, again, we want to provide as many opportunities as possible. We want to get them those skills and we want to get them that academic piece too. We want to validate CTE programming in our district. And we feel like that we've been able to do that simply because we've had all the support from all of the different pieces and parts of West-MEC that have reached out to help us. So we're very, very grateful for that. And so we thank you guys for that.
Jeff had a question.
Which class do you have that is in demand right now? Which CT course you think is like?
So sports medicine and rehabilitation has been our most in demand. And honestly, that surprised us. The second most has been the business and marketing pieces. We do have quite a few families, community, family members that are in the entrepreneurship world. And so they run farms or they run different businesses and things like that. And so they really do want their students involved in that as well.
Jim, I have a question.
Has the community requested any ag programs? Or are you just throwing ag out of Netteburg?
We have a lot of students who have requested it, as well as some families as well. And part of the reason for that is, again, a lot of them are doing some farming and they run active farms. And so they would like to see programs that run with that.
At voting time, those people go to the polls.
Yep. Yeah. So they very much have requested, and again, for us, our mission, our values is we really do value the student input, and even the design of our high school, the what programs we were bringing in. While we knew we wanted to bring career and technical education in as a centerpiece to our design, we also wanted to make sure that we were getting a lot of student voice into that. And so we surveyed our students, we surveyed our parents, we were constant. Even the name of our high school is named by the community. Our mascot was named by the community. Everything came from the community with that. So when it comes to the programs that students want, we're very open to what it is that they want to drive. So the ag science piece is something that that has been gaining more and more interest in, and we have the land space to do it, which was a fortunate, almost didn't happen sort of situation when we were acquiring the land for the high school. So became a happy accident in a sense.
Thank you. Any other questions? So, thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
Career Services Student Credentials and Placement Report.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Spurgeon. I'm happy to be here today to talk about all the good work that's being done around student credential attainment and career placement. And I wouldn't be able to talk about credentials or placements without mentioning these lovely ladies, our wonderful career services coaches that are on the campuses, super invested in making sure that our students are career ready and that they're ready to take that next step after West-MEC. Some of their highlights from last year include 516 student touch points. So 516 times these career coaches were in the classrooms, working with students on resume writing, career literacy plans, networking, job searching, all of those different things that students need to be aware of once they leave West-MEC. They also completed over 1,300 career literacy 2.0 plans. Those are Dr. Spurgeon's career literacy 2.0 plans. And again, it's making sure that these students leave with that purposeful next step after West-MEC. And then they completed 1,240 completer outreach calls, texts, emails to try and reach our alumni students to see what they're doing after West-MEC, so we can track that piece. So not only are they in the classrooms working with students on those touch points, they are also supporting them in their credential attainment. They are collecting, proctoring, scheduling, playing huge roles in that piece. They are assisting with payment processes. In some cases, they're even in the classroom taking passport photos of students because state board applications require those. And then, of course, they're educating students about the importance of credentials. They're educating them about the cost of credentials. When they cover the student credential pledges with each student, they talk about what would it cost out of pocket if you were not to sit for credentials here at West-MEC. And that's really making a really big impact on those students. And I believe it's increasing their drive to actually sit for those credentials. We've also implemented parent credential nights. We started doing this last year, or I'm sorry, the year prior. And we've gotten really, really good feedback from parents and guardians that are attending these credential nights, and they're learning about the credentials, and they're learning about the costs that they might have to pay if their student doesn't sit for that credential out of pocket. Again, they're also getting more involved in wanting their students to test for credentials.
Yeah.
And we have those coming up next week. As of today, we had 335 parents and guardians registered. So we're hopeful that we'll have really good attendance for those sessions and that they'll leave with some good information. So overall, last year, our 2024 completers earned a combined total of 5,824 credentials, which is an incredible number. And also those are all industry recognized credentials. So an important note I always like to throw in there when talking about our total number of credentials is that all of our credentials fall under required, preferred, or relevant categories, which means they're either required by a certain industry to be able to work, like a state board license or an FAA certification for aviation mechanics. They could be preferred, like our certified medical assisting certification. The state of Arizona does not require our medical assistants to be certified, but a lot of employers prefer that certification. Or they're relevant, which a lot of credentials fall under if they're embedded in curriculum or there's some sort of safety certification. But again, all of these are brought up to the advisory councils. The industry recognizes these credentials and our students are benefiting from earning those credentials. Testing eligibility and availability is always a big thing to look at as well. Certain certifications have very low national, I'm sorry, I just skipped over the national pass rates. Testing eligibility is age requirements. So a lot of the certifications have to have students be 18 years or older to sit for those. And then availability too, a lot of them, testing centers are backed up. There's lots of different folks trying to get into those testing center. And we have been able to overcome some of those hurdles by moving a lot of our testing to our START Center. That has been wonderful, and it's also aided students in getting those credentials earlier, quicker, faster, before they get some of the things that they've learned in class. And then back to those national pass rates, it's important to look at those. A lot of certifications, IT certifications, for example, have a very low national pass rate, even for adults who are taking these certifications as they've been working in the industry. So yeah, our students are surpassing those national pass rates by far. So while the career coaches are supporting students in earning their credentials, they are also working diligently on getting them career ready. We touched on resume writing earlier, all of those touch points, interview prep, mock interviews. We talked about the credential pledges and the career literacy 2.0 plans. And really, it's a combined effort, right? Counselors are talking to students about career literacy. Instructors are talking to students about career literacy. Our C&I department created curriculum units that talk about career literacy, just to make sure that students feel supported and make sure that they have that purposeful next step after leaving us. Our Northeast Campus administrators, I don't know if they're here today, Mr. Swernick is here. They even took it a step further and decided that they were going to have one-on-one meetings with all of their students to find out what their next steps are after West-MEC. And I think you're completely done with all of them, right? You've met with all students? Yeah, they've met with all of their Northeast Campus students. And those students have a sheet and some notes and can go see Ms. Calhoun, their career coach, and kind of talk about that and see how they can make the best of that next step. So everybody's working together. And then just to show you an example of the Career Literacy 2.0 plan. This is an example of one of our veterinary science students. You can see the plans outline their certifications. It outlines which career tree pathway the student chose in class, as well as a researched expected yearly salary or pay, and then also what their plans are. In this case, the student is planning on continuing her education. She's going to attend Mesa Community College, and she would like to be a vet tech eventually. So 98% of our 2024 program completers left West-MEC with a plan like this.
One question.
Yes.
Do you have an idea what percentage of students include postgraduate education like college or university in their plans?
I don't know in their plans. Some of the documentation you received for the 2023 completers will tell you that 22% of our 2023 completers are working and going to school at this time. And then 43% of our 2023 completers are in school full-time.
Oh, okay, after graduating high school. The reason I ask is because we still, I'm sure a lot of us still here. Not all students are made to go to college or university, but I think when they go through our programs, a lot of them do get encouraged to go to college and university as an option.
The stats have been over the last few years, about 70% of our students come out and go into post-secondary opportunities. Because some folks may say not all kids are cut out for college. I think every student's cut out for some college. Whether it's a stackable credential, an additional training, upskill, new skills, something like that. And typically about 30% of our students that leave West-MEC come out and go into the world of work.
Well, I have a question. Looking at your the post-secondary program completer placement trend report. You have military has grown a lot from 13 in 2017 all the way to 36 in 2023. What kind of plan do you put in place for them? Do they plan to go to the military? And do we have, if they say they want to be a mechanic, we have a program for that, a credential. If they say they want to be a mechanic in the military, do we help them pass the ASVAB to attain that ASVAB score to be a mechanic in the military? Are we familiar with that kind of information?
So yes, we are familiar with the ASVAB. I know our counselors and career coaches in the past have brought that to classrooms and presented that. I know students have taken the ASVAB at some of our campuses before. I know that we do partner with the National Guards. We have those come into the classrooms and speak. We've had the Army National Guard be presenters at our Fast Forward events in the summers. So students are absolutely getting exposed to that. If there's a student specifically asking for more questions on how to join or what career opportunities there are, we can connect them with those resources.
So my thought process is not so much the field, it's more the help. We do know from, I think the last data I saw on ASVAB passers, Arizona is only like 60%. So that means 60% of the kids that take an ASVAB test actually pass it to get into the military. So we know that there's struggles there from the student to the opportunity, right? How we managed to do anything in that space. If a student came to you and said, I want to be an explosive tech, but I need to have an ASVAB score of a 96, which means that my electrical score has to be an 80, mechanical score has got to be a 30, my general technical score has got to be a 35. Do you know that information to say, I know what a GT, I know what electrical, and I know what mechanical score is to get you there? Let me see where you're at with your math. But you know, we can align you with some help. Can we do that, or we haven't gotten there yet?
So as far as I know, we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
I don't have that information. If a student were to come ask those questions, again, we could connect them with resources of somebody that could help them with those questions.
Cause it's like the credential, the help that we do for students for job attainment or college. We put a lot of effort into that.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like for military, we're doing the same. I'd like to see something along that speed to be able to get that. Cause it is growing, went from 13 to 36, so I think that it may warrant something. Just my-
Absolutely, thank you. Great, so we are now moving on from credentials to placements. So once students complete our programs, career coaches do also play a large role in offering placement supports for them. They are consistently connecting with employers, bringing them on campus, making sure that they're sharing their opportunities with students. They're offering campus tours to employers. They are sharing job leads. We do have a West-MEC job board. I will say it is a 1.0 version. We're currently working with Pipeline AZ, and they are going to get us an incredible job board. It's gonna have great onboarding for employers, but for right now, we're using that job board 1.0. Alumni can access it and they can see which jobs are posted up there, and then they can directly apply to however the employer would like them to apply. And then the career coaches are also conducting completer follow-up. So they are emailing, calling, texting, all of those completing students that have just left us to find out what they are doing. I always like to put the ADE criteria up there for you just to see how many questions are required of these career coaches to ask of these completers. And it's not an easy task to get any information out of a teenager, let alone all of these answers to the questions. So they work extremely hard to try and get that data and to see what students are up to.
90% is that number, Jessica?
Yes, it is. 90% positive placement for our 2023 completing cohort. So definitely up from the year prior, and we're hoping to keep going in the 90s. So we're working really hard to keep it there.
That's job placement,
Very
Say
good.
that again.
job placement.
Yes,
100%.
yes. So our positive placement definition is completers that are positively engaged in the economy. So they're either working in the field or outside of the field. They are attending post-secondary institutions or advanced training, apprenticeships, or they're in the military, or they are serving on a religious mission. So all of those combined equals that 90%. All right.
And for how long do you track that information after they left?
So right now, we're only tracking that first year. We have made efforts in the past to track 3 to 5 years down the road. It's very difficult. Once students leave, they're not on their parents' cell phone plan anymore. They have different phone numbers than what we had for them. They move, they're in college, they move out of state, they're not at the address we had for them. So it's just really, really difficult to try and track that.
We do the best job in the state after that first year after. There's nobody that gets close to what we do here at West-MEC. It's a lot of work. No, it is.
Oh, question on the credentials. Some of them have age requirements.
Yes.
So once the student graduates, are they on their own at that point to pay for those credentials, or do we still pay for them?
No, not at all. So we still pay for them. Sometimes the student could maybe sit for a certification, but the certification will get held by that accrediting body until the students turn 18. If it's an 18-year or older requirement, they can still come back. We will still pay. If it's a required or preferred credential, West-MEC picks up the tab for that first attempt, no matter what.
Up to a certain time that they've graduated, or
Yes, so we try to have them take it within a year.
within a year?
Just because we want them to succeed in attaining that credential, and after a year,
Makes
they
sense.
might not remember everything they need to remember in order to pass that credential.
I know one student, my own granddaughter, they stayed on her.
Oh. That's good.
Vice Chair Rivers. The other thing is Mr. Strunk had asked for the comprehensive list of all the certifications that are offered for each of our programs, and we were able to put that together. So I sent that to him, but if you would like to have a copy, I'll have Louisa send that. Because that shows you all the required, preferred and relevant credentials, because there's a number available, plus there's some micro credentials that aren't not required, but students have access to those micro credentials. So I'll let her send that out to the board. It's good reading. It's good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
To Mr. Wakefield, professional development presentation.
Thank you, Darren, for your help with Control L. Well, good afternoon, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to share with you some of the wonderful things that are happening in professional development. As you can see, and as you probably well know, that training and development, professional development is a key ingredient to a healthy and thriving organization. I looked at some research from Gallup poll, and they talked about the importance of younger, especially younger employees making the choice to work in an organization second only to the health benefits that they get. Do they have the ability to grow in that organization and grow as an employee? In addition, we know that professional development, according to the Harvard Business Review, says that it increases the engagement and the retention of employees. Retention is an important component with our employees. In professional development, we are involved in all aspects of the organization. We began initially years ago with simply helping teachers to get their certification. We continue to work in that environment, but all the trainings that Marilyn and her team do go through our professional development registration system. We put those all online for registrations. We track those registrations. We work with CTSOs and helping teachers to integrate practices in CTSOs. You can see the list. I won't go through the opportunity to talk about them. Dr. Stravell was very kind in talking about how we help some of her teachers with certification. How do I get certified to teach CTE? And then Jessica, just a few minutes ago, talked about these credentials, these relevant credentials, OSHA and NC3. And so we'll share just some numbers with those. And then probably one of the things that I'm most proud of is the West-MEC U. West-MEC U is an internal system that's been created to grow our employees, only available trainings that are only available to our employees. And so it came out of a Cognia advanced ed visit. It was 2 visits ago. And they said, congratulations for all the work that you do with teachers. What do you do with all the other employees? We have more employees that don't teach. And so how are we growing and developing them? So it really is our hope to be a part of that as we grow our employees. This last year, we had 183 offerings. May not sound like much, but those are full day trainings, multiple day trainings. They could be 1-hour sessions. Any training that came through professional development is counted in that. And I have to give accolades to a couple members on our team, OSHA 10 and NC3. We did a great job with the number of credentials that we offered. These are our students, over 500 credentials for OSHA and greater than 2,000 for NC3. And I believe last month, Frank Quinn was brought up here as a Founders Award through NC3. And this is some of the work that he does and really coordinates. But I also show you that OSHA is not a one-day training. It takes 5 days to get our students through that training. We have to qualify that with, it's 10 hours, but then you've got breaks and then you've got the other things. So it takes a full week for that training to take place. It's a significant commitment by teachers and by our staff to make sure that those credentials are continuing to grow.
Credential like that, or does that?
Only, well, thank you for the question. And with NC3, no, you do not have to renew as a bearer of that certificate. With OSHA, you do not have to recertify. If you lose your card, I confess, I've lost one card. You can pay to have a second card, but then if you lose the second one, you get the honor to go through it again. So our OSHA authorized instructors have to recertify, and so they have to go through the process. Interestingly enough, I am not qualified to teach OSHA. I think I'm a pretty good instructor. I don't qualify to teach OSHA. You have to have specific prerequisites to be able to do that. So you can see our numbers, and I won't read them all, continue to grow, the number of courses we offer, the number of certifications that we give, the districts that we serve. Prior to this meeting, I was on the phone with legacy charter traditional schools, and they want us to come out and do some specialized training for them. So that would be a number added here. The number of individual registrations. So just looking at last year, we are growing, and we not only reach the districts that we serve, we reach all four corners of the state. This last year, we were very instrumental in the accomplishment of district goals, where we helped to develop some trainings that occurred on the teaching and learning days. We developed this new idea called Voice and Choice, which gives some autonomy to teachers to share the good practices they're doing with other teachers and make some choices in the professional development that they would like to grow in. And then, as I talked about, the credentialing that we did quite a bit of work with. And then we were also, members on our team were also instrumental in finally getting Southwest Campus their ASC certification, which opened the doors to all kinds of opportunities for the students. So we were took part in that. And then going forward, we're involved in many things. Rasan Bartet is now part of our team, and he and I are working on a new model for a middle school training that will help our career literacy efforts. We're working with some community colleges on that, what that will look like. And then really working to respond to the needs of our teachers as they are teaching students and ensuring that our teachers are prepared for the challenges of getting students to achieve. Last year, we were asked by one of the board members to build some distance learning or asynchronous trainings. We've built a couple of those and are responding. That adds additional challenges with in-person training versus now we're doing some online and when we do some of those. But those are some of the things that we're working on this year.
So I have a question real quick.
Yes, sir.
Just very curious, which middle school are you targeting to have a program at, or?
That's a great question. One of the things that we recognize is that unified school districts like Natterburg have the opportunity to work with their students K through 12.
Right, yeah.
And the articulation is just embedded. However, our union districts cross over there's crossovers. And so what happens in an elementary district is not very well articulated to the high school because of the boundaries. And so what we're doing is working with developing a curriculum about what is career literacy, what is CTE, starting with a delivery model and the different components of that, how that a middle school can build in career literacy into their curriculum, and then introduce them to the CTE directors from that high school to increase the pathways.
Yeah, that's good.
And we're trying to get college credit for it so that it helps with their professional growth. So we're looking at all angles. And then probably one of the new things that we're really excited about is I know that it's been asked of Dr. Spurgeon as one of his goals to work on this performance pay. I get the opportunity to help with Kathy Mays and working through that. And then the final thing that we're really working on, as we know that a strong orientation and onboarding program helps employee retention, we're building a systematic plan for that. So we're involved in a lot of things and we're very excited about it. Yes, sir.
For the non-West-MEC instructors and staff, is that their participation in these programs, is that do their districts pay for that? Or is there some sort of quid pro quo with them for other services or?
So may I clarify? Thank you for the question. Are you asking if teachers that come to our trainings?
Yes.
Yes, sir. They pay $35 a class to come to a full day training. And then with our agreement with the Department of Education, these are all state approved trainings. They have to complete homework. So even teachers are completing homework, and then they get a credit sort of what they call a deficiency. And they have up to 15 deficiencies that they have to clear in 3 years. So it's a whole system, but we honor them as a business owner teaching business. But with all due respect, they don't know how to teach, and so that's our job. Thank you for the question. And with that, I'll answer any other questions.
Unbelievable how you structure what you do around everybody else's life. All these different schools, yeah, it's fabulous.
And we, as I said, we have hundreds of people that come to us from, 57, 58
Yeah.
districts across the state.
It's great. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Update of staff performance and pay plan. Thanks.
Good evening, Chairman Ramirez, members of the governing board, and thank you for wishing me a happy birthday earlier.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. I'm pleased this evening to give you an update on the performance pay plan. First of all, I'd like to publicly thank the governing board and Dr. Spurgeon for giving us an opportunity to reward employees for the hard work that they do. I mean, we already reward teachers through the Proposition 301 plan, but this will give us an opportunity to continuously get our employees to innovate and do good things and create the best educational experiences for our students here at West-MEC. So I did provide you with a timeline, but I'm just going to briefly go over some of the highlights of the timeline. So and I'd also like to publicly thank Joe. He has been a great thought partner and co-chair as we went on this venture. Because when we were given the charge, we were like, okay, this is a great opportunity, but how do we operationalize this, right? We don't have a performance plan in place, so what are we gonna do? So we wanted to make sure that we align the goals of the performance pay plan with the district's goals and with Dr. Spurgeon's goals, and integrate those goals with what they're doing in their various departments and their various work roles. So starting on September 19th, we're going to bring a committee together of approximately 27 employees. And the purpose of that is we want to make sure that we hear the employee's voice as to what motivates them to want to do better. We could have very easily said, okay, if you meet your goals, we'll give you another 1%, right? Our employees are well compensated, but we wanted to use this as an opportunity to stretch them even further. So there'll be 4 different subcommittees. There'll be one for campus administrators, one for directors and assistant superintendents, one for exempt staff, and one for hourly staff. Each subcommittee will have a chair that will help guide and facilitate those conversations. And our goal is for each committee to bring back to Joel and I and eventually share with the leadership team and the governing board what's important to our employees as we put this plan together. So starting on the 19th, we're going to start our committee meetings. And then we're also going to discuss what our other districts doing for performance pay. So we've done some research. We've put together a spreadsheet so they'll have that information so they can compare what other districts are doing as well. We're also going to do a survey to our employees on September 23rd and ask them, what is important to you? Are you interested in even participating in a performance pay plan? So we want to put all that information together to give our committees as much information as possible so it can help guide them in their decision. So our goal is perhaps by the end of October, we may even have the initial framework for a performance pay plan. But depending on how these conversations go, because this is our first crack at developing a plan, it may go a little bit further than that. But these are not going to be conversations about salary increases. Obviously, that's going to happen in April. This is strictly just to have a really good framework, a really good plan that we can present to employees in the spring so that when they come back in the fall, they are ready to go and they'll be able to know exactly what they need to do for this incentive.
So I have given you the dates on the timeline and I stand for questions.
And the board members sit on some of those conversations with the employees?
If you are interested, please reach out to me.
Does anybody else do this?
Yes, several other districts do have performance pay plans in place for non-instructional employees. Some have plans, like for example, I came from Glendale, or I worked in Glendale at one point, and only the administrators and directors received performance pay. Other districts have, all classifications have some level of performance pay. So we've gathered all that data and we'll be able to share it. If the board is interested, when we do the final presentation, we can give that information to you as well. Thank you.
That'd be good to see.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Be interesting.
I do have, in your presentation, you mentioned asking the employees if they would be interested in participating in a performance pay program. That seemed to me that an employee could opt out.
Correct.
So
So-
what happens if they opt out?
Well, that'll be a conversation that we'll have to determine as we develop the plan. I mean, I'd be a little concerned about an employee that doesn't want to improve themselves, because it really should match their goals that they're setting with their administrators and directors.
Why is there even an option?
Well, it's not gonna necessarily be an option, it's just a question that we wanna capture. Is how, how interested and how motivated will they be if we present this plan? So it's just informational at this
Red flag.
Thank you. Any other questions?
point.
No? Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, legislative and business partnership update with Mr. Williams.
Vice Chairman Ramirez, members of the board, Superintendent Spurgeon, thank you for the opportunity to provide an update on some of our business partnership efforts and legislative happenings. I do want to take the opportunity to thank Jessica and our career services team. I know that we kind of boil all this down into these numbers that are good to look at, but the amount of work and really intentional work that goes into producing results like that is incredible. Our career coaches on the campus, the systems across the district that support that work, Dr. Spurgeon's vision around career literacy, all of that comes together to produce that type of data that you're not going to find in any other system. Having over 90% placement rate is unheard of. We were in a conversation last week, and I believe the average non-response rate for that first year out of a CTED was about 40 to 45% non-responsive. So they're not even responding to the survey. We're, I think, at about 4% no response rate. So it's tremendous amount of work that's happening to produce that. So thanks to them. On the business partnership, strategic partnership efforts, I just want to, we had an opportunity at the Southwest campus to tour the APS Palo Verde supply chain team. They kind of had a training on site and their business meeting on site, but they took the opportunity to look at the improvements that have been made to the flow loop that APS Palo Verde originally donated to that site. I believe the original donation was about $500,000. Between APS Palo Verde and Emerson, they have really refurbished the whole flow loop, all the parts, the labor and everything that went into it. Each entity contributing almost an additional $500,000 for nearly $1 million invested in that flow loop at the Southwest campus. So want to acknowledge them publicly and thank you, Dr. Parsons and the team at Southwest campus for fostering that relationship with APS Palo Verde and Emerson. I'll piggyback just on a couple of updates that Dr. Spurgeon shared. Charter One American Leadership Academy. We had that opportunity to tour them at our Northwest campus. We have a follow-up meeting to engage more of their leadership for another tour, their CT director, some of their program liaisons. So I think we've got another group of about 10. The reason that's important is they will have a significant number of students enrolled in their system, especially this coming fall when they add the Northwest Peoria site in Estancia to the West Valley. So that's got a capacity of, I think, of about 2,500 students. We're currently serving students from their Foothills West campus off of Olive in Waddell. So between those two sites, and they have plans to continue to grow in the West Valley. So we want to establish that relationship early to make sure those students are served through West-MEC's high quality CTE programs. I will share, we are very engaged in the statewide workforce development efforts through ACA, through OEO, the CTED consortium. But we are very engaged at the local level through the municipalities, their economic development teams. Since we met last, we've met with Buckeye, Glendale, Peoria, Surprise, El Mirage, Goodyear. And these are all very meaningful, intentional conversations to make sure that our strategy at West-MEC is aligned with their workforce needs and what their industry needs are. I just want to highlight with the city of Surprise, as Dr. Spurgeon mentioned, we were really involved in the front end of attracting a company like Tricolor Automotive to the city, to that region. And then we're able to come back and be a part of that ribbon cutting ceremony and meet their leadership and the technicians that are opening that site. They've been very strategic about developing their workforce strategy in partnership with El Mirage, because El Mirage shortly to come is welcoming CarMax to also a kind of a refinishing warehouse in their neighbors right there. So they reached out to West-MEC to really help meet the workforce need of these two large employers in this automotive space. Between the two of them, I think they're going to need 500 to 800 technicians to meet their business needs. So we thank the city of Surprise for being proactive and engaging us on the front end around that workforce strategy and having us a key part of that conversation. I also had the opportunity with the city of Surprise to present to their city council subcommittee on education and workforce, just to share an update on West-MEC and our partnership with the city of Surprise, the celebrations and the results of their investment in our adult ed dental assisting program, the $100,000 investment they made to pay the tuition for Surprise residents in our dental assisting program. So that was a great opportunity to showcase West-MEC to the city of Surprise. And lastly, and there'll be more to come with this, but Kristen Hall, their business attraction manager, nominated me about 6 months ago for the honorary commander program at Luke Air Force Base. And I found out about a month and a half ago that I was accepted to that program. Will be inducted later this month. So it's an opportunity. It's not a personal, badge. It's really a West-MEC badge. It's only because I'm in this position with West-MEC that I get the opportunity to do that. But it embeds us in with the leadership at Luke Air Force Base, and it embeds their leadership in the functions and operations of West-MEC. So it's really an opportunity for our systems to learn from one another. So I think we'll be able to really, and you speak to it and you keep this top of mind, how we can serve those families, how we can serve those who serve on our behalf and military veterans as well. So looking forward to that. More to come on that. I'm still working on trying to get the new commander to come and say hello to everybody here.
Real quick, it also goes back to your point of further developing those students looking to go into the military. Oftentimes, we're not privy to the information to be able to secure those career pathways. This might be a way for us to be able to exchange some information to better serve our kids.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's a 2-year commitment, and we'll be very active with the leadership out at Luke Air
We
Force
do
Base.
have a relationship with them, with the special.
Project Search.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. Yep. Legislatively and on the policy front, a couple updates. We have kicked off our legislative visits. We try to do this really kind of September, October, November, while they're eager to meet with constituents and they're not fully engaged in committee work or legislative work when session is going. Dr. Spurgeon, I had the opportunity this morning to meet with Representative Nguyen from District 1. And, just right up there in our northernmost part of West-MEC where we touch District 1 and then it goes up into Yavapai County. Strong supporter of CTE and CTEDs. He self-admittedly says, I don't understand any of the education funding. I don't want to understand any of it. I was assigned to the Ed Committee when I first started as a freshman and got out of it as quickly as I could. So he, was very upfront about that. And he invited Sean McCarthy, who is a senior policy advisor on all things education in the House, works with House leadership, committee leadership, and is a very trusted voice at the Capitol. So we were fortunate to have him in that meeting and got to bend his ear a little bit about some things that are important to us. And I think we had a 30-minute meeting scheduled, ended up there for over an hour. So It was a very meaningful meeting. We look forward to many more of those. We've got several calendared and many more invites going out to meet with our policymakers. Today, and this is hot off the press, Governor Hobbs announced a Talent Ready AZ initiative and an executive order forming the governor's workforce cabinet. So we have more to learn on this, but it's engaging state agencies and other stakeholders around workforce development. I look forward to learning more about this and how CTEDs might play a role in that. Careful to not create too much redundancy in this space. We've got a lot of groups formed to really answer the call of workforce development. We're exploding. Our growth is just exponential across all industries. So while I welcome the opportunity to engage and be a voice and want CTEDs to be a part of this initiative, I know that Dr. Spurgeon and I look forward to learning more about this and how we can really leverage it in support of our strategy and what we're doing. General election, we're in the midst of it. I think most people got their publicity pamphlet today, either electronically or it should be in your mailboxes in the next day or two. The early voting begins October 9th, I believe, and goes through the 29th. I think the last day to mail those in is the 27th, and then the general election day is November 5th. So do your research, look at the literature. It's got all the propositions in there and details, but with that, stand for any questions.
I have a question about CarMax. Are they already established in El Mirage or?
They're not. So, and this isn't necessarily like a CarMax dealership. This is where all the vehicles would be brought in to become sale ready. So they would recondition the vehicles at this site and then ship them out to their dealerships.
Are they already building the sites or?
They are, yeah. I believe, don't quote me on this, it's by the end of 25. Yes, so they'll, and again, they're part of that regional workforce strategy working, and they were there. Representatives from El Mirage and CarMax were at the tricolor ribbon cutting. I don't know that they see themselves as competition, but they look forward to kind of both joining this workforce strategy.
Yeah.
And there was something, I think it was something like 1,500 cars a day through the tricolor facility.
1,500 cars a day. Wow.
It's incredible. Yeah, it was.
I was thinking more like 10, 20 cars.
That's a huge operation.
Oh, gotta go check it out.
Yeah, it's
You
huge.
want a tour.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, CJ, I had a question. On the list for the governor's new board, I didn't see ADE. Are you hearing anything about that? And is she gonna include them or?
Yeah, I didn't see it on there either. I looked through the list of state agencies that are on there. Most of them look like appointed agencies, so it didn't seem to reflect other elected agencies.
Yeah, they're just her agencies.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, you know, we've been engaged with the Department of Education and their Arizona Education Economic Council for over a year now, and that's brought education and industry together. So we've got some good work happening there. We're engaged with Arizona Work and the Workforce Development System through Maricopa County and the City of Phoenix. We've worked closely. We've got open communication with the Office of Economic Opportunity and Commerce Authority. So I think we're very present in all of these spaces. We'll see how this forms. You got to read quite a ways down in the press release to find the brief mention of CTEDs, but we'll look to see how we can be a part of that.
But all in all, it's a focus back on, you know, career and technical education and the workforce development. So anytime you get a positive spin on it.
Cause I know the whole reason why they did it. And I remember the conversation when it was getting formed. And workforce development, they tend to ignore a lot of our earlier development phases. They only want, you know, the graduate on above and all that stuff. So that's a whole other conversation, but I was wondering.
To that end,
Yeah.
what this accomplishes in terms of like funding is it captures 1% of any of those federal dollars that come in for workforce into the state. And they're estimating that to be about $25 million that will be new money for OEO to use on the front end and toward these initiatives that the workforce cabinet determines as appropriate. So I've got more to learn. This all just came out this afternoon.
Yeah,
It
okay.
looks great, so it's a good time.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, CJ.
Thank you.
Revision to policies pursuant to the trust model policy recommendations. Ms. Mace.
Good evening again. Members of the governing board, there are 6 policies that are being presented to you this evening for first read, and I will just briefly summarize the 6 of them. You certainly can read through them at your leisure, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. The first one is 3107, which is fiscal accounting and financial reporting. The change here is basically a word change that goes from and to or. Regarding the number of days of instruction or the equivalent requisite number of instructional minutes. Policy 3401, safety and emergency management. The change on this particular policy, and keep in mind, these changes were made by the trust attorneys, and they're usually as a result of one of the legislative sessions, but what's interesting about this policy, from my experience working with volunteers and working in schools, one of the challenges that districts grapple with is if there is a sex offender that also has a child that goes to a particular school. So they may have very strict limitations in terms of their interaction with children, but how do you bar them from being participatory in their children's school lives? So I think this legislation was to tighten that up. So if there is a sex offender, they have to abide by whatever limitations are in their release plan, even if that means that they have to limit their time and interaction with students on campus. Currently here at West-MEC, all of our schools, all of our sites, they have a binder that has all of the sex offender information that we receive from the various police municipalities. That information comes to the superintendent's office, and then Louisa distributes that to all of our campuses. And so if anyone wants to know in the community, is there a registered sex offender near my campus, they'll be able to have that information and look through that binder. Policy 4101, the board authority to employ. This change is basically to put districts on notice that they cannot issue contracts before March 15th. Before there was no, we could pretty much issue at whatever we had decided, but there was some pushback from teachers that they wanted to have more time in providing that signature. And then 4204 mandatory reporting. The change here is that if there is a report of abuse or neglect, it has to be done within 3 days. And they also added language about vulnerable adults as well, not just students on our campuses. The student code of conduct. There were several word changes here, but the main one was a student shall not even make a false report regarding a serious offense, not just threaten a school, but they can't even provide a false report. That could lead to disciplinary action on that student. And then the other change was just a word change about word slogans or graphics that are obscene or are related to drugs and alcohol. And then finally, policy 5404, the administration of medication. West-MEC is what we call a self-carry district because we don't have school nurses on our campus. And so that means that if a student has has insulin, or if they have a bronchodilator, it is their responsibility and their parents' responsibility to make sure that the student has the medication they need. And that if there's a plan that needs to be put in place, that they notify the front office so that the staff members are aware of the potential harm that could come to that child. So this particular policy just talks about the various medications that would be covered if a staff member did have to step in an emergency situation. We're currently looking at that right now, and I've been in conversation with Shelley Tom, who is our Director of Exceptional Student Services, because there already are policies in place regarding students that may have a seizure plan. But we want to look at this policy a little bit more closely, because we don't want to take on the liability of a student who may be having an emergency situation, because we're gonna call 911, right? We just don't have the medical training. So that information is provided to you to review, and we will bring it back for a second read at the next.
Chairman Ramirez, one of the things I want to mention is Kathy and I had a conversation and we talked to Ms. Boozman at the trust conference. Not all the policies that come out that are new that need to be updated are applicable to CTE, but we wanted to make sure that we provided those even to the board. So you'll start seeing a section of those policies that are not applicable. We want to show you all of them, but they may show not applicable to CTE, just so you get a chance to see everything that comes out. Thought that was a great idea to just show both of them.
Thank you, sir. Superintendent Archie, any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Yay. Section E, motion to approve consent agenda items F1 through F13.
I'll move approval unless somebody wants to remove one of the numbers.
Oh, sorry.
Second, okay. Okay. Moving on to action discussion. One, motion to approve no. In the right place? No, there we go.
EMT
TMB contract for Southwest Campus.
Here we go. Yes.
price.
Yeah, consideration for approval of a guaranteed maximum price contract for Southwest Campus.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This evening, we want to share with you, we have a project to Southwest Campus. It's pretty exciting. I do have our contractor for construction and our architect here with us this evening, BWS. So I'd like to call them up and they can share what that project looks like and what it's going to do for our kids on the campus.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Spurgeon, but he's left. He'll be back. I'm Sue Gray. I'm principal and architect with BWS. And really appreciate the opportunity to work with you. I've worked with the district in the past. You're doing incredible things for the community in the state. So thank you very much for bringing on BWS and CORE for this very important project. So tonight, we're just going to give you an overview of the project schedule. I'll share with you the location, kind of the improvements that are going on in building B and building C. And then Jason's going to give you an overview of the GMP. So we were awarded the project and began in mid to late January. We had a lot of programming and planning meetings. We worked very closely with the principal, Aaron Parsons, and Paul Getz, the IT security instructor. They were instrumental in all the planning meetings and discussions. We wrapped up construction documents in July, and we actually just were notified we have our second building permit, so we are ready to go. For construction, has worked very closely throughout all the planning meetings, in a lot of discussions, make sure that we didn't have any items that would be long lead elements, and so we're in good shape on that end too. Our work at the Southwest Campus is within building B and building C. So as you first enter, building B is right through the main gates to the west. And on the second floor is the advanced manufacturing program. And then in the building just to the south is building C. And on the first floor, we're doing improvements for the cybersecurity program. So we're really matching the design intent. It's beautiful, colorful, bright, um, design elements. So our improvements will be seamless. I wanted to share some of the images. So you can, when you go back out and when the construction's all done, you'll be able to see that it just ties right in. Share the floor plan. When we started the project, really it was Mr. Carson's idea. There was a lot of space on that second floor. There was a corridor and collaboration areas. And then there were some mezzanines that when the building was originally designed, they were for storage. Over the last few years, they've been using them as like little breakout instructional areas. And so this work was really to capture that space. And essentially we have doubled the instructional area on this floor with these improvements.
To keep in mind, a lot of this was done with our work with Nestle and some core power to be able to increase the number of students in our advanced manufacturing. This allows us an entirely new space upstairs for automation and robotics.
So the advanced manufacturing program, we've got a larger robotics lab. There's an instructional classroom up there. We opened it up as much as we could without taking out or impacting any structural load bearing spaces. And then the mezzanines were enclosed to allow robotic testing spaces. So we put in a lot of electrical reels, a lot of power and data throughout this whole floor. It allows a lot of flexibility. That's one of the things that West-MEC has always done well, is created spaces that allow for transitions, because the programs have to evolve with what the community and instructional needs are. So those spaces that were outside are now integrated within. So there's a lot of breakout areas for small collaboration groups, and to work with some of those tabletop components for that precision robotics. So here's a view of the mezzanine that's now a testing lab area from in. And then also these mezzanines in the past had opened up to the large open bays for HVAC and electronics. So we've enclosed that, but we're again tying in with the original architecture and the super graphics that are there. So seamless. And if we go to building C, the cybersecurity, again, as you first enter the building, there was a space that was originally designed for student break area. You know, your kids are on campus all the time, but as the campus has evolved, that space was really underutilized. There's different strategies to have that type of soft social spaces. So again, we were just capturing space that was already there and allowing it to be used for curriculum. There were some large classroom spaces that were had a dividing wall that we took out to, again, kind of create those larger spaces that are needed for these type of programs. So the three key components that are incorporated in building C were the Cisco certified networks component, the cybersecurity lab, and then they have a student enterprise and IT support space that was incorporated. So the cybersecurity classroom, Paul's class, really just needed more seats. It's growing, super successful. So we had minimal improvements to that room. We moved the instructional office space that he had and included another room for seating. But the cybersecurity lab was truly his vision. When we started the project, Paul had already uploaded here's some pictures. He had a lot of ideas, and he had really done his research on what was needed and how he wanted to deliver that curriculum. So we connected the three labs so that he can kind of flow from his classroom to the larger cybersecurity classroom. And then the students also had access to that student enterprise. The student enterprise is kind of maybe Best Buy. What is the name of those techies? The Geek Squad. So when you come into the building, there's a window. Students can help other staff, students, whoever needs IT support. So that was kind of an educational component. And then across the corridor, the conference room, part of the Cisco networking systems, they're a big supporter and partner with the district. We enlarged that conference room space. Paul assisted us with, what the AV and IT needs were within that room. And then we also captured, within the original build, there was a medical assisting component that was always designed to be a temporary space. So this was an opportunity to really capture that space, take down a few of the intermediate non-bearing walls and create this larger cybersecurity classroom. It already had an exterior door, which allows for if there's an evening program or something too. So it really was pretty seamless. It's will look great. We're super excited to see it get built.
Yeah, the IT security, cybersecurity is an ever-growing career pathway. I talked to Mr. Getz not too long ago, and his students that made his program might come out making anywhere from 48 to 55,000 in their first year, but within 3 years, they're at 6 figures. It's just like, it's life-changing.
It is huge. We were just touring another community college that's doing similar programs. So the cybersecurity lab, this was great. There's going to be a primary teaching wall at the front. He's got a space where he can bring the whole class over. They can talk about elements or components, things they need to work on, and then they can break out into the smaller stations and work with their teammates, their cohorts. And he's got the ability to kind of walk around and see how things are going.
And we're hoping.
I have a question. Oh,
Go ahead, sir.
I have a question about those large screens across the wall there. Is that for instructional purposes or that also to simulate real life work experience?
It's both. It's both. So they'll be able to kind of use it for however they want. There's also the strong desire to have, they want the opportunity to host some of these national and international cybersecurity gaming and competitions. So this will allow them, this will be one of those spaces.
It'll be real life cyber attacks going on around the world.
The vision to do this. I mean, who did you really? I had to know that. I just had to know that. Thank
To make a lot of university students jealous about our classroom. I think.
you. Because actually, I've got a grandson who's taking gaming at ASU. And when you mentioned that, I thought, oh my gosh, that's huge.
Yeah, Paul had all the ideas. He had researched furniture.
I'm crazy like that. Linda was, you came to the meeting, she got a firsthand view of the plan.
Good.
That was the plan about 5 years in the making, so, these guys have done a tremendous job.
So they really listened to you.
Man, listen to, like. I'm real, so a lot of people that know me know that before IT, I did engineering, so I did it for a number of years, and so that was my background, MEP, medical systems. I've worked at every better hospital in the valley. And so I'm really picky, so I still, even though I do IT now, and I've been doing IT for almost 15 years now or more. I still like CAD systems, I still like 3D design, I still draw stuff, I still stay sharp, and so when they came, I already had the CAD plan ready. And I will tell you guys, if you saw the CAD plan originally, and you've seen like my vision come to life, these guys have done a tremendous job of making it really. I'm super picky, so to make something elevated in my mind and make it better, it is saying something. And so when I first saw a glimpse of this, I couldn't have thought about it better myself. I think they really made the vision come to the next level. And when I say security, IT security 2.0, this is 2.0 squared. So they did a tremendous job. But thank you guys.
Well, you do such a good job, so I trust it.
Yeah, so you guys asked a good question about the screens, and so that was perfect.
Yeah.
So one of the functionalities is that that's a 31-foot screen on the backside. And so that screen will show a number of things. It'll show real cyber attacks around the world. It'll show a database we can take sensor and monitoring of all our equipment in our NetLab space. We can monitor the internet traffic coming in. We can look for anybody trying to penetrate any of our systems. We can show it in a dashboard format. We can teach students how to build SME data and monitor that system, but we can also have marketing pieces in there. We can things with our students from the past. But those screens that you see on the side, when they come in and work in those collaborative clusters, the ability for them to take that screen and quickly send it over to the big wall. I could have every one of those monitors go up onto that main screen and have them talk through their solution to the entire group. And so it's getting away from that linear design and building it more into a collaborative cluster. So we really want students to be able to talk to each other.
You guys are doing a good job presenting it. But there's the enthusiasm. I am enthused because he is enthused.
So
That's
super,
great.
super fun. Yeah, so super, like, I was almost, you guys don't know, I was gonna retire before I took the job.
No.
And so now I'm like, man, I just signed my new certificate. I got 12 more years. I'm gonna float that thing all the way to 40. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I got excited looking at the picture of the rendering. I was like, what are we building here? Some kind of command center.
That's that. So to that point,
Yeah.
the ideal was, this is multiple. It needs to be multi-purpose. We need it to be an educational hub, right? We need to be able to do day-to-day what we want to teach these students as far as cybersecurity attack and defense, right? But we also need it to look like the environment that they're gonna work in. So that's been the vision from day one. It's like, yes, we've always had a really nice classroom. I love our classroom space. But West-MEC is really good about, you have your classroom and then you have your lab, and your lab mimics the real world. We didn't really have that. This is where our students are actually going to work, and they're working in places that make this look like nothing, right? And so we wanted something to reflect that, something to show them what it's gonna be if they work hard and get out there, and they truly are making some incredible salaries right now.
So Paul was instrumental, these AV systems are complex, and we had, Core came in early, knowing that we had to bring on, design assist, really understand what the cost would be and collaborate, make sure that we got the systems that's gonna work for the district for an instructional perspective, but also work with the IT and the long-term maintenance. So we had a lot of great input from not only the campus, but the district, so. Next.
One question that I have is, what impact has this had in your HVAC system?
Oh, this, a lot of your campuses are designed for that flexibility and transition. So really nothing was impacted with these. We did have to bring in a few smaller rooftop units for the mezzanines because those were open to the larger lot below. So we did have to bring in a couple small ones, but really this is just reconfiguring as Dr. So. So the other thing is you enter the building too, we want to be able to have windows into the classroom so you can see what's going on. We have a meeting board that highlights the career tree and a ticker tape kind of going across the top, kind of sharing with what's going on within the cybersecurity program. So. And then we included a little QR code for you. This is the cybersecurity lab, and there's not movement, but it's actually the light fixtures. We put in some LED fixtures that could transition. So it's a little bit of energy and spark. And Jason's gonna talk through the numbers.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Spurgeon, Vice Chair, and members of the board, thank you very much for allowing Core Construction to be part of the team here. We're humbled and excited to be part of this project. Building and renovating a lot of schools across the state. It's not every day you get to do something like this, and having BWS as a partner on this with the district is super exciting. So we're ready to get going. On behalf of the Core, my name is Jason Santor. I'm part of our pre-construction team. I'm going to walk through this. In the audience, we have Whitney Bunn. He's our project director, who's been involved from pre-construction, and he'll see it through construction. And we have Alex Pribish, who's part of our pre-construction team as well. So what you see here on the screen is a summary of our guaranteed maximum price. And what that represents is the construction, as you see those renderings, the construction that we are going to be providing in Building B and Building C, kind of summarized in these groups. So like in the structure group that you see that dollar amount there, for this project, we're going to, for those in the Building B mezzanine area, putting those rooftop units in, we had to do structural supports to support those loads that are going in there. There's going to be some plumbing pour backs for concrete trenches and electrical trenches that we have to do at Building C as part of that. Our enclosure, some of this, you see some of the interior glazing and glass, creating that transparency from the corridors to the classroom space. So that's where we have those costs captured. Any of our roof patching for those mechanical units as part of this. Our interior finishes, that's our metal framing, our drywall, our paint, our flooring, our ceilings, a lot of those finishes that you see to the eye, visual touches. And then the MEP systems, that represents those mechanical systems, our plumbing, our electrical, a lot of those cord reels that you saw, creating the flexibility in the space. And then we have our subtotal there, and then the soft cost representing the 3,595,413. As Sue mentioned, we've been involved early on this process, and I really think that's how the construction manager at-risk process should work. Us providing that insight, us providing recommendations and options throughout, so that when we do give that guaranteed maximum price, it truly is that maximum price that we could stand up here and ask for approval on for it. Throughout that process, we've been excited and engaged a lot of trade partners. There's a lot of interest from the trade partner community on this project. We received over 80 subcontractor bids on a renovation project. That's tremendous, and it tells a couple of things. It shows that people are excited to work for West-MEC and excited to continue to work from West-MEC. And it shows that the design is well done, because there's a lot of work out there and subcontractors are very busy right now. So to get that many bids and interest creates a lot of competition, so that we could put more money back into the classroom. So that is what we're showing tonight. And one little fun story I wanted to mention is, throughout this process, what we do is we like to involve technology in our pre-construction. We went in and used the program called Construction Site, where we have a 360 camera on, and we're able to look at everything of the existing space. It helps as the design progresses. It helps us communicate to our trade partners. And then we use that as construction evolves. One thing that we're excited about, we mentioned in a meeting earlier, is one of our employees, Anthony Whiting, actually went to West-MEC and got a drone certification from your program. Started with us as a laborer. We quickly realized his skill set, and we have him working on a lot of our other projects, providing drone services, progress updates, and we're currently looking for ways to utilize his skill set to provide updates to these interior renovations. So thought that was a cool story.
That. So we do all this new construction and stuff, like, we'll be hiring more people, or more teachers, more staff.
The only might be an IT security policy is we have that extra classroom there. We'll have the ability to add some additional students in a program. So that's something we'll have to talk about later. But the rest of this really is increasing our ability to produce the technicians and also provide a better learning environment for our students in the IT security realm. The possibility exists in IT security, because you saw that extra classroom that we have back there. It'll be a nice spot for us. This is a great job. You guys did a great job on the design, great job on the price. Better than expected.
We're excited to do the ribbon cutting, groundbreaking, and then ribbon cutting.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right,
GMP.
you move, let me a second.
Can I ask another question, as far as, we're working on the campus, we're on the Northeast campus. We're also going to build another campus. What happens if if the bond doesn't pass?
Well, the second thing we'd have to do, your plan B would be to have to run it again. And you would probably have to continue to run it until you're actually able to pay it. If not, then you would be just sitting with one phase of our new Southeast campus. I don't anticipate that would happen, but that is a possibility.
How will it affect, we have the money right in our pocket to continue with these?
All four projects we already have the money in the bank to be able to do all four projects. But if for some example, I'm gonna knock on wood and maybe say my prayers that the bond issue wouldn't pass a first or second time, we would still have 5 programs in phase 1 of the new Southeast campus that would open their doors in July of 2026. So it would certainly still be of great use if for some reason that did happen, but yeah, for sure.
I think it's different, it's not King control.
I said we don't usually have trouble passing the bonds.
Did you get a second on that?
No, I didn't hear a second.
A second on, second.
Okay. Let's vote.
Clicked it 3 times. I don't know. I think my battery's on. Motion passes.
Right. On to recommendation to approve staffing requests.
Good evening again, Chairman Ramirez, members of the governing board for the third time. Before I get started, I would like to introduce you all to our newest administrator. He is here this evening now that the consent agenda has been passed. Dan Hester, you wanna come on up and? Dan is our new IT director. He is currently an IT coordinator who was unanimously approved by the search committee to take George Gerardo's position as the IT director. So I don't know. Say a few words.
I look forward to doing more great work for our students.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are two personnel items before you under this agenda item. The first is a recommendation for actually a reclassification from our SIS specialist to SIS manager. Dr. Spurgeon has been informed, and we've worked with Marcy along with myself to put together the rationale for the change for the reclassification that we are requesting this evening. But this position currently is what we call a SIS specialist. And because of the skill set that is required for this position, it is a supervisory position. This individual does supervise 2 staff members. And one of the unique things about our SIS leadership position is that most districts have a SIS person that just works for their district. So if I work for Tolleson, I'm sending my data up from Tolleson, and you know that's pretty much my primary role. But here at West-MEC, because we work with so many different member districts, in addition to our central campuses, it can be a pretty heavy lift for that position. So we introduced the candidate to you last governing board meeting because we were very proud of the work that she's been doing to make sure that we're capturing our ADM correctly. Because as you know, ADM transmits into dollars for us to be able to do our work. So if it is approved by the governing board and you support us in the reclassification of this position, she will continue in that great work that she's doing, but she'll also have additional duties. She'll be doing trainings for our member districts to make sure that our systems are compatible and we're getting good data and we can make good decisions. And I also have Marcy in the audience. If you do have more specific questions about the role that she'll be filling, if you all approve the reclassification. So I stand for any questions.
I have a question on that. Will this then open up? Are we still keeping that other position available to fill in later? No, okay.
It's a reclassification.
It's just a reclassification.
As far as salary, is that something we can discuss now as well?
It's at the governing board's discretion, since it is on the table.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I like to address is, I would like to see her start at the base hiring range, with what she's already making right now is just under a 10% increase. I know what the suggested is that's like 16.5% increase in salary. I'd like to see it start right at the base of that hiring range. And more.
And then this starts, when would this start?
It would
Immediately?
be a prorated salary based on today's date.
Oh, okay.
So to Ms. Busum's point, her annual salary would be that large of an increase, but the prorated salary, you know, obviously is just from September to June. Obviously for this year, it wouldn't be that total amount. However, something I would offer the board to consider is that It is moving from basically an hourly position to almost a quasi-administrative position in that it is exempt or will be exempt. So they won't be punching in and out. It's not an hourly position, it is supervisory. And when I look at setting the salary for a move like that, where they're changing classifications, one of the things that I'm very cognizant of is what is the percentage difference from the classification of the position that they hold to the position that they're going to. So for example, if I move from a lower level position to a supervisory position, even if I've been in my position for a long time as an hourly staff member, I still have to account for the fact that, you know, even though you're new in that supervisory position, you are taking on those additional responsibilities, and we have to figure out their salary for that.
The other thing too is overtime, right? There's no overtime in the position where there's salary.
So it's also the base that your range is at 75, 750, I believe it is.
I think it's 75.5.
Yeah, 75.5.
Is there, do you have data on
SIS managers at other
Yes.
entities, and how does that compare? I hear what you're saying. If I'm just coming out of college and I've got all these certifications, I may be looking at coming in at 75. But if I've got 20 years experience and being promoted into this position, we've got to, you know, look at that as some sort of differential there. I believe. So
Yeah. We have some comparable to.
right, if we've got some comparison that we could draw from, that might
And
help.
yes, I did take a look at other districts and the range. It was a little difficult because in some districts, that position is still a specialist position. They don't supervise staff, they don't train. They basically are the conduit between the district and providing that data to the AD. Right? This is a pretty unique position, I think. And I'll let Marcy explain a little bit more. I don't want to steal your thunder. But it's just such a unique position here at West-MEC because of those additional responsibilities.
Yes, thank you. Members of the board, when I first came in, I thought this position was already a manager position. So I was very surprised to hear that it was a specialist hourly position. And I will tell you, it's very difficult to compare to a regular school district, but if you were to compare to a regular school district, we touch data for over 40,000 students. Okay, that's equivalent to a Deer Valley and a Paradise Valley. Well, Paradise Valley isn't even that high anymore, but it's a large school district. So if you were to look at Deer Valley and how many people they have in their SIS department and the level that their managers make, it's not a manager, it's a director. So when you're dealing with that much data, we may not be generating ADM equivalent to 40,000, but we are touching that much data. And it was very nice tonight to hear from the principal at Natterburg to acknowledge the work that's being done and the support we're providing. And Natterburg's not the only district we're supporting. All the districts that have new people, they're reaching out to us to come and train their employees. So it's important, and for me, it's about the level of responsibility. It's not about the person in the role. It's about what do we need as an organization and the expertise that a manager level would bring.
And when did she start with West-MEC? Was her hire date?
She's been here probably at least 5 years.
5 to 6 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, on our budgets that we have, our school budgets, so this will come out of O&M, right?
M&O, correct.
M&O, so how does that reflect? Is that we still in good shape, or is this really gonna impact us hard, or?
No, this will be a minimal compared to the additional growth that we're seeing.
will it free up someone else to do other things as well? Would it create would it create an environment that other things would be more productive if you hired this role rather than a specialist?
Well, correct. This person would elevate that department to the next level, right? So we're empowering the two people that now, because there's 3 people on the team. So we'll be empowering those other 2 employees as well and growing them and their expertise, because you have somebody with the management skill set to be able to grow them. And I hear this all the time, and I truly believe in the process of, we train our replacements. So we're constantly, right, training the people that work under us to be able to take our positions if we were to go somewhere. And that's the environment we're creating here.
Okay, but that department is not growing. It's still gonna be the same 2 employees that she's been overseeing. Has the exact same job that she has been doing all along. Am I
So
right?
she's been doing that job already
Yes.
for 5 years.
It has elevated over the years because of the exponential
Yeah.
growth that we've had.
Kind of like, what do you mean by elevated? You mean more data, more information, so it's not the same as she was, right? So we've grown, so that job's grown, the data's grown.
Correct.
And as we grow more, the data's gonna grow more.
You are correct.
Yeah, okay.
And we're establishing that infrastructure
Right.
to take
So
us
we
to that
can-
next level.
Right, so we're looking forward
Correct.
to make sure we can grow. We're scaling.
Sure, I'd like to call for a question.
Yes, I have a question. No, sorry, you had a question?
So the recommendation is to approve the staffing requests.
Stop and request, yeah.
But then also the salary.
We still have one other position under that particular item. So I don't know if
How do
you're
we
done.
change that so we can address the salary?
I wouldn't address the salary.
I have a quick question about that. Right now, currently we have 3 specialists, right?
She is the specialist
The specialist.
and the other 2 are technicians. Thank you.
Okay.
Is it that would vote on what their recommendation is? If that goes down, then they can bring it back with
Yeah.
suggestions.
Is she the one who found that extra ADM that,
Yes,
This month should point them up.
how much was it?
11 million.
For the district, okay. Okay, sorry, you had a.
No, I call for the question. I'd like to see us go ahead and vote.
And we have one additional
we have
position
Oh, yeah.
that we would, we're asking the board, thank you, Marcy. It is an additional position, so this would be an additional FTE to our current staffing. It's an administrative assistant for learning systems, and again, it's due to the exponential growth of West-MEC in terms of our enrollment, in terms of our programs. We've hired 2 partner program managers to facilitate a lot of the expansion of our programs, for example, in our community college districts. And this is to provide support to those positions, but also we're thinking about having that individual, if we do get the Agua Fria campus, when we get the Agua Fria campus off the ground, we're hoping that this position can provide the administrative support for that campus as well. So we're just looking ahead 2 or 3 steps. And we also provided the rationale in our agenda item as well. And this came from Julie Yeager, who requested the position.
Do we have anybody in mind yet or? Not yet. Okay. Are we gonna be hiring from inside or outside?
We'll do a search.
She can offer it, lower it, then that can be lowered. Then he can do it.
So just so the board knows, we sat on this position for about the last 4 months, looking to make sure that we had enough students that enrolled in current enrollment. So we went from like about 85 or so up to almost 250 students in current enrollment. And we have more programs we're going to be recommending in the future. And that means students are actually on the Maricopa County College campuses getting West-MEC programs, and so this is gonna continue to grow for us exponentially. And right now, there's no one to take those calls, the enrollments, the parents, check on students, the phone calls about attendance. There's nobody assigned to be able to do that, and we just have to have some support. And this person's duties are gonna grow exponentially even next year with added programs and bringing on the Agua Fria Career Academy. We just need some support.
Question.
Yeah, it was
I
brought-
believe Ms. Boozer can make an amendment to the salary if she wishes, and we can vote up or down on that amendment. And then go back to the original.
Yeah, that's something.
The only issue with.
We have an attorney here. I'm not an attorney, but Mrs. Siegel is.
And
But
the
she
higher.
can't offer an amendment to the motion.
The only issue that you'd be changing the salary schedule. That's
Yeah.
probably not what we're after.
Yeah, that was my next question. If on both of these, if these are already within this a salary schedule that we've already approved.
Yeah, so this is a salary band.
Oh, okay,
Yes, it
Yeah.
is
Not
within the
salary.
range.
So this is the best, the range.
it's already been approved.
Right. No, a range means anything within that.
I understand what the range is.
So you want them to have a specific number.
What is the hiring salary?
The hiring range for the specialist position in specialist managers is 75,750 to 96,535.80.
Do we know what's being offered though?
Yes. She would be offered approximately the middle of that range,
It's
roughly about 80,000.
just currently at what, I'm sorry?
And currently, am I allowed to say?
I'm allowed to, I don't know.
Mhm.
Oh, what is the range for that?
I would-
What is the range
That's
for
why I
that?
said at mid-range.
Okay.
It's, if she's making,
Okay.
Definitely no.
if they're gonna go to 80%, that's like a 16.5% increase in the salary. That's like winning the lottery.
Yeah, but that's.
So,
Well,
We're asked to vote on, presented to us.
Two different things that we're voting on.
Well,
Yeah, exactly. We're asked to vote on this.
yeah.
Now, if you want to change that or put amendments, that's, I believe, possible, but I would leave that. But I wouldn't recommend that. I just recommend we vote on it, and if there's enough votes, it goes, and we can go into executive session.
Yeah,
Yeah, get it done.
and then talk specifically about the salary at that point.
The specific range is gonna be left up to, and that'll be brought back to us, correct?
The range is listed in the.
No, this is specific salary, I don't mean range.
if we do that, but you're saying we can do that in executive session? No.
No.
She has not been noted, she has not been noticed.
No, we haven't, yeah, we have an executive session for something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, do I have a motion or an amendment or anything?
I made the motion.
You made the motion, okay, yes.
And I'd like to make an amendment to the salary,
Mhm.
to make it at 75,750.
So
We'll start at 75, so.
We have a motion, do we have a second to Jim's motion first? So to approve the item, sorry, so we have a second, so now we have to vote, if it passes, it's done, if it doesn't pass, we can make an amendment.
Okay. So we have motion made by Jim Reno, second by Edward Levine, to approve staff request as presented.
My motion was, as presented, she amended that.
Motion still stands, so the yours first or?
Yes, he made a motion,
Okay.
so his motion.
I made a motion, what was here,
You didn't get a second, fail for not getting a second.
and she amended it, so we're voting on the amendment.
No, we're voting on your motion. To approve that.
That's the way I see
So
it.
that after the motion's been made and seconded, person who made the motion is the only one that can amend it.
Yeah, yes, correct, yeah, cause you motioned for as written. And then you said she could if she wanted to. Yeah. That's, okay.
Future agenda items.
We see future agenda items.
I voted.
No, we're now at request for future agenda.
For future agenda items. Any future agenda items? Alright, hearing none, then
We need a motion to convene to executive session.
So moved.
Can I get a second? So Jim, second by Robert, you guys can- Right now, I'm gonna bust. I'm still waiting for your vote. You need to click on the.
bring these documents with us or
Yes, the folder and that, yep.
the folder too? I see.
Hope it was intentional. Because we
I
can
went
all.
off some medicine. I'm in medication.
They just put me on.
So you're gonna gain.
Oh, I've already
I
gained.
mean, you just look at it, look at that.
Oh, no, I read everything. I don't have a choice.
Yeah. We take the whole thing.
Alright.
Good.
Oh, no. I'm gonna grab some t-shirt. I know. So you probably don't have this today. Oh, I wanted to show you.
Good.
Everyone's gone.
Oh, yeah, I just left. I was tired. Like,
On the West Coast. I didn't have kids at the time, but I had lots of time. I started at 6 o'clock in the morning and I until 10 o'clock. Fine with me. It didn't bother me.
What's the language for the motion?
I would suggest that whoever proposes to move to approve a 3-year contract of employment for Scott Spurgeon commencing July 1st, 2025 is presented to the governing board. And that you authorize the chairman of the board to sign the agreement on behalf of the board.
Get that in there.
So that is in the recommended motion. It says motion to renew the superintendent's contract with a 3-year term commencing July 1st, 2025, and authorize the board chair to execute the contract on behalf of the board. Second. And Melina, seconded by Linda Bosom. Yes. Oh, you closed yours, okay, so do you guys voting?
Oh.
Do you guys close your side?
Yes.
We're ready to go. Yes or no,
She
please?
told me I could, sir.
I just wanted to call the vote. Barbara, yes or no?
Yes.
And then Linda, yes or no?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes, and then we need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
Said so moved. Oh, Ed, thank you.
Ed.
She has original.
Second by me.
All right.
Thank you. We are adjourned.
It might be a while. Who knows?
Congratulations on your birthday.
I don't know how that judge feels up there.
I used to be a president.